Hi, Natalie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Patty is having a problem getting on Testaverde.
Yes, I do know. I've been working with her.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about it.
Thank you. No problem.
Hello, everybody. Do we hear Louis Izzo?
Yes, Louis, I can hear you. Thank you. Hey, Patty, I can see you.
You see me? Does everyone see me?
I see you finally.
Oh, okay, okay. So I guess, does Natalie see me?
Yes, I do. You're all good.
I see,
Okay,
I see you,
thank you.
Patty.
Don't listen to me. I'm out of the workforce a while. I retired. Don't ask me how I figured this out.
Uh,
Jeez. All right, thank you.
Time is now 7:30 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Old Bridge Township Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for February 16th, 2023. I'm James Sullivan. As chairman of the board, I would ask you now to all join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag of our country. Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America,
and to the republic,
For which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Old Bridge Township Zoning Board of Adjustment has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting by primarily posting in the municipal complex the date, the time, location, and the agenda of this meeting, also by mailing such announcement to the Home News and Tribune, filing a copy of such announcement with the municipal clerk, and placing the same notice on the township's website. Ms. C, could we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Sullivan.
Here.
Mr. Connor.
here,
Mr. Stoner. Absent. Ms. Chevalier, I believe, is actually in attendees. Give me 1 second here. Ms. Chevalier? It looks like she is muted at this time. Mr. Scogno,
here,
Ms. Andrews,
Here.
Ms. Testaverde,
Here,
Mr. Izzo,
Here.
Mr. Clancy, Mr. Gill,
Here.
and myself, Ms. C. Thank you.
I think Ms. Chevalier is now unmuted.
I am unmuted here.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This meeting tonight is conducted electronically via the internet by a webinar for those watching. It takes patience on all involved, as tonight's meeting is no longer, we don't gather in the courtroom tonight for C variances. We do these from our own homes or home offices. This meeting is also simultaneously being televised by OBTV, Channel 15, as well as YouTube Live. I remind all those watching on any device that there's up to a 30-second delay in communication. And that becomes important if you wish to personally join the public portion. Anyone calling in must lower the device that you're watching us on, or you'll be confused by the time delay. I'd ask all participants now that are in the meeting to please silence their cell phones to avoid any disturbances. Our meeting follows the same protocols as if we were in the courtroom. There are a couple general housekeeping matters this evening, and we'll be followed by one application. There'll be no need for a recess this evening. As in all applications, there is a public portion that follows the testimony. If you at home have any particular interest in this application this evening, and you wish to ask questions or make comments via telephone, I suggest that you take notes during the presentation to refresh your memory. This would be a great time to get pen and paper, and should be a sign up. We could put that up now, maybe you see, alerting the people for the phone number to call in. There it is in front of you on your screens now at home. You can call in on any one of those numbers. You would be put in queue and you could speak to the board, and that would happen after the testimony. I would announce the public portion. Moving on, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. C to make any comments on behalf of the township that I may have missed.
Thank you. Just a few reminders. The zoning board members will be unmuted during the first half of the meeting when they will be required to vote on other agenda items. The zoning board attorney, chairman, secretary will remain unmuted throughout the meeting. Everyone else will be muted. Once the presentation for the application begins, the applicant's professionals will be asked to turn on their video and unmute themselves in order in which they will testify. For the public, I will announce the last 4 digits of the caller's phone number to come forward and announce their name and address. I will also announce the last 4 digits of the next caller's phone number so that they can be prepared. We will share our screen to display any exhibits. The meeting information will be displayed on the screen multiple times during the meeting so that any resident who wishes to call in and join the meeting can do so. Please be patient. You will have an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. C. Board members, this evening, Brian Clancy is serving as counsel.
Good evening. Nice to see you again.
Good evening, Mr. Clancy. We have one resolution under item number 2 on the agenda. That number is 28-2022Z, Interbell Automotive Corporation. Mr. Clancy?
I don't think I have a copy in front of me. You want to maybe take that second and I can pull it up while we're doing this.
Sure, we'll move that to later on in the meeting. How's that?
Great, thanks.
We'll jump to number 3, and that's the minutes, board members. Minutes of December 15th, 2022. Hopefully, everybody's had a chance to review. Absent any commentary for suggestions or deletions, I'd ask someone to move them for adoption.
Move it, Scogno.
Is there a second?
Second Chevalier.
Moved in second. Roll call, please, Ms. C.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
I wasn't in attendance.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. Izzo,
I also wasn't in attendance.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes, board members, there's no need to have been in attendance to vote on them. You are to read them. That's why they're sent to us. So you don't have to abstain or for being absent. So in the future, you can more than welcome to vote. I'm going to say the same as to the minutes of January 5th, 2023. If absent any comments or suggestions for deletions or additions, I'd ask them to move those for adoption.
Motion to approve, Connor?
Second, Scogno.
And seconded by Mr. Scogno. Roll call, please.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
Yes.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes,
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. Izzo,
Yes,
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to hold up on that resolution till the end, Mr. Clancy, and I'm going to move right to the homeowner application. That's under item number 4 on our agenda. It's their only application for this evening. It's 1-2023Z. It's Oni Hamadi. It's in the R15 medium density residential. The block is 11000.11 lot 7. Location is 16 Crabtree Road. This is for a shed requiring C variance. Is Mr. Hamadi here? First of all, board members and everyone listening, I once again apologize. The noise you hear in the background is an unruly parrot that I've had as a pet for over 25 years, and he likes to get involved in the meeting, so I'm sorry. Is Mr. Hamadi here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the board attorney is going to swear you in. Is anyone else going to testify tonight? Or just you?
No, just me.
Just me. Okay, the board attorney will swear you in at this point, sir.
Mr.
Thank you.
Hamadi, can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay, you put your hand down, just state your name and spell your last name if you would for the record.
My name is Auni Hamadi, and my last name is Hamati.
Thank you.
And Mr. Hamadi, you are the resident at 16 Crabtree, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'll give you briefly how this works. You're here seeking a variance. The board members who are also residents of the community who volunteer their time to sit on this board will listen to the reason why you're here. Mr. Gill, who happens to be the zoning officer of the township, will advise the board why you are here. There's some sort of a violation of probably some size or something on your property. He's going to tell us that. We're going to ask you to just tell us the who, the why, the where, how this is being done, what happened, and what brings you here tonight. We're going to make it nice and simple. There are some things that obviously have to go on the record as a matter of legality. We may have some questions of you. You may have some questions of us. Finally, I'm going to go to a public portion, as I just spoke about before, and I'll see if there's any commentary from any neighbors or anyone that wants to weigh in this matter. So if you don't have any further questions at this point, you can proceed at your own pace.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Auni Hamadi again. I put up a storage shed in my backyard, and I'm seeking variance on a height issue. It is brought to my attention that I went over about 8 inches, and I didn't know at the time. And just seeking the height of the variance on it.
Okay, this is already built, you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did someone build it for you, or did you build it?
No, I had a company come do it.
Contractor? Okay. And he's not going to testify as to anything tonight?
No, they're in North Carolina.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to ask Mr. Gill why you're here, okay, sir?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members of the board and public. As Mr. Amati said, the application, there was a structure that was built on the property. I'll read the technical reasons, and then I'd like to give a little bit of background just so that we have some context. But the applicant proposed a 20 by 30, 14-foot high shed or accessory structure where a 20-foot 2-inch and 3/4 wide by 30-foot 3-inch long and a 15-foot 8 structure was built. The applicant will require a C variance for the overall square footage of the structure and height of the structure, along with any other variances, waivers, or exceptions that may be required. By way of background, the applicant, Mr. Amati, did apply for a permit to construct a shed or an accessory building, which was approved. As indicated in the denial letter, it was supposed to be a 20 by 30 structure, and it was supposed to be approximately 14-foot high, which gave him a little bit of room on the height. However, due to some confusion, I guess on the applicant's part, I'll say it that way, and what was submitted to the building department, which were spec drawings, which kind of contemplated several different heights. The structure was built at the limits and was approximately 8 inches, as Mr. Amati said, over the limit. And it was discovered after the structure was built. So when we alerted Mr. Amati, we had several meetings in the office to discuss how we might resolve the issue. And Mr. Amati has opted to come before the board because of the circumstance and the fact that the structure has already been constructed. That is the background.
Okay. Mr. Gill, is it because of the topography of the height, or is it because of the actual build?
It's the actual build. The property is relatively flat.
Mhm.
The company that Mr. Hamadi used, like many companies that build and spec build these accessory buildings, their drawings are spec'd out to a standard that allows for some variation. So it's like up to 12 feet, this is how you construct it. Up to 16 feet, this is how you construct it. It doesn't take into consideration necessarily the specifics of what Mr. Hamadi is doing, the way a bespoke set of construction drawings might be prepared by an architect for a particular construction. And in that, there were numbers that were there if you opted to do them. And then one of the other things was, as communication can break down sometimes, Mr. Hamadi did check with us to see what size structure would be permissible, and we told him a 20 by 30 structure. The 20 by 30 structure is what he purchased. The problem is that the company that he purchased it from measures interior dimensions, and it was 20 by 30 on the inside, but our ordinance measures on the exterior dimensions, 20 by 30. So we wouldn't normally make an issue of that because that would be fairly de minimis. And the reality of the situation is, I think we can all agree it would be an honest mistake. However, because of the height differential and the clear violation of the variance of the zoning ordinance there, it's also delineated for the board this evening, so the board understands the full scale, and that if Mr. Hamadi gets an approval, it is an all-encompassing approval.
Right, understood. So he's a foot and 8 inches, almost 2 feet.
Well, he's a foot and 8 inches higher than what the zoning permit told us, but the zone standard permits up to 15 feet.
Okay.
And he's approximately 8 inches beyond that standard.
All right. Okay. Board members, do we have any questions of the applicant or of Mr. Gill at this point? And if you would, just raise your hand so I can see you. Okay. Again, I guess the 0.2 and the 0.3 on the width and the width and length is rather de minimis, but because we measure outside and not inside, is that what you're saying, Damien?
That is correct. Our ordinance measures from the exterior wall,
Okay.
not the interior dimensions.
Okay. Mr. Amati, I'm assuming you didn't understand that probably when you purchased this?
No, sir, I'm not a builder or a contractor.
Understood. I think you'd have to be an architect to actually understand it, right?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Clancy, anything we need to put on the record here before we take a vote? Are you satisfied that,
Just as far as the overall dimensions are concerned, I believe up to 600 square feet is permitted for inside. This with the 0.2 on one side and the 0.3 on the other side puts it slightly over the 600 foot, and that explains why we need a total size or total square footage variance as well.
okay?
Does that sound correct?
Sounds
Yes, that's
good.
correct.
Okay. So it's also somewhat de minimis.
Yeah, Mr. Amati, I'd like to go to a public portion now and see if anybody has any questions or complaints. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is matter 1-2023Z located at 16 Crabtree Road. This is for a shed that that the applicant did seek a building permit for, but unfortunately it came out just a little skewed, oversized, and again, it's the length of total square footage and about 8 inches over the total height acceptable. Right now in front of you, you have phone numbers you see. If you have any comment on this particular application, I'd ask you to call one of those phone numbers. Ms. C, is anybody in queue?
I don't see any raised hands.
Okay, we'll give it about 30 seconds. Once again, folks, this is the only applications for the evening, and it's the only time this application is going to be heard. So any comments that you may want to make have to happen now, because once I close the public portion for the evening, there'll be no further commentary. And then, of course, the board will, if Mr. Hamadi wants, we'll take a vote on it. So,
Chairman, there is one raised hand.
okay, would you please announce that one?
Sure. Rosemary Ravenna. You're now unmuted.
I didn't catch the last name. Is it
Ravenna. Oh, there you go.
Can we hear me?
Yes.
Rosemary Ravenna? Okay, would you please, the board attorney will swear you in before you make any testimony, okay?
Swear you in.
Rosemary Ravenna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you. Can you just raise your right hand and just answer to the following? Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you provide before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you just say your name and spell your last name for our record, please?
Rosemary Ravenna, R-A-V as in Victor, E-N-N-A.
And what is your address, ma'am?
I am number 18 Crabtree Road.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thanks.
Yep. Ms. Ravenna, realizing you're under oath, what is it that you want to tell the board?
Well, there's a few things. I'm going to try to make them as succinct as I possibly can. I'm very concerned about this building, and I'm going to call it a building because of its height next door to me. And I've spoken to Auni about this, and he knows that I'm very disappointed in what went up on the property. I realize he failed the inspection, not only for height, but for square footage. One of my main concerns is my property value. Now that I walk into my backyard, where I have a screened-in porch, and now I look to my left, and there is this building blatantly out there in the backyard. So another concern of mine is that a business is going to be started from this shed, garage, whatever one calls it. There is another shed on the property, but of course not as large as this one. So my concern is that a business is going to be started out of this shed that was now put on the property. We're in a very residential neighborhood. I'm concerned about noise or traffic, if that is the case. And I am opposed to the planning board giving this variance. There was no concern of neighbors or neighborhood or thought about this when this was permitted, getting the permit here. I've lived here for 49 years in the Lake Ridge development, and any changes that I needed to make in permits in either houses, one of the first things considered was the impact it might have had on the neighbor or my neighborhood. And I just like all of this on record. Auni has said to me that he will work with me with putting some trees, arborvitae, something on the fence line that maybe could take away from the eyesore that this is. And so I would like all this put on record. Thank you.
You can stay on the phone, ma'am. This
Yes.
this is on record. Obviously, everything you've said will be actually memorialized. And as I said, you can watch these again on YouTube at any time. You said the man is going to run a business out of there. How do you know that? Or
Well, we heard the name Automotive Corp.
I heard when you started Automotive Corporation. So now I'm really concerned.
Who said Automotive Corporation?
Someone said that at the beginning of the meeting. It might have been
that
you.
was no, ma'am. There's a resolution that's going to be handled this evening. The attorney didn't have it presently at hand. That's the Interbell Automotive Corp. It has nothing to do with this application. Totally separate application that was dealt with a couple months ago. So
I'm sorry, I misunderstood
yeah,
that.
that's okay. No. I did say that, but I'm kind of looking at my notes of where would I have said that.
Okay,
That's a totally different application that happened back last year.
okay. I'm sorry about that part, but this building shed does have a garage door on the front of it. And I don't know how you get cars back there, but I'm very concerned that this might turn into something other than a storage shed. And besides, it's 16 feet high. We don't have 2 or 3 acre zoning here in Lake Ridge. This is really beyond what I ever thought was going to be constructed on the property.
And I appreciate your comments. Legally, you understand that he could put 20 by 30, which is 600 square. And this is coming out to 612, but 612.06. And legally, it can go up to 15, Mr. Gill?
Oh,
That's
Okay.
correct, Chairman.
Like 15 foot, and in this case, it's going 15.8, I believe. I just, you understand that that's by ordinance. He is entitled to do that.
But the fact, if I may ask, that
Sure.
he failed inspection, what does he have to do to rectify that inspection? I mean, is the shed going to come down? I doubt it. But what will he have to do to rectify the fact that he failed inspection by 8 inches?
He's trying to do that this evening, man. He's
Okay.
he's sitting in front of the zoning board.
Okay.
Seeking variance for the fact that it's slightly over on the square footage and it's slightly over on the height.
Yes. Okay.
Is there any other comments? Is this, you say he's willing to put up arborvitae's or something? Is it close to your property line that?
hi.
Well, they're going to have to be pretty high, I mean, to cover it. But I spoke to Alney when the building went up, and he said to me that he would do what do you want me to do? Because I said he has to work. I asked him to work with me on this whole project.
Okay.
Once it was completed, I didn't know it was going to be this high. And we agreed to that he would put up some nursery, growth. Why don't I call them arborvitae's? I don't know what else to call them.
16
He'd
foot.
have to put, to hide the whole thing, he'd have to put up 16-foot high trees, but that's not happening. So,
Well, I tell you what, while this board doesn't have the power to force him to do that.
no.
I'm going to ask him to be a good neighbor and see if he'll put that on the record at least.
Well,
Perhaps
that's why I stated it. I would like these things on record. Thank you.
that's understood, ma'am, and we're going to take every effort to see that perhaps he might comply with that. Okay. Any other comments, ma'am?
No, I think I'm finished. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for calling in and advising us of this matter. Mr. Hamadi, this is Lake Ridge, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in a homeowners association. Do you have a letter from the homeowners association of no interest or advice?
I don't understand.
Homeowners associations control what happens normally on developments that are covered or ruled by homeowners. They have certain rules that apply. Maybe Mr. Clancy could put it in better language than me.
Yeah, so the homeowners association sometimes has rules which are more stringent than what the township would require. The township's ordinances are kind of like the baseline for the town, but once you have a property that's within a homeowners association, they may require certain additional stuff above and beyond what the township would require. So ordinarily, when we have one of these variances come before the board is interested in knowing that the township, if they grant approval, that the homeowners association isn't going to come in behind and say, well, we're interested in doing this. So usually we try to get a letter from them.
Did you seek any permission from the homeowners association?
I mean, I asked around to the
No,
people
actually-
that are,
I'm talking about a written document, sir.
no, sir. I don't have a written document.
Okay, Mr. Clancy, would I be best to allow a vote to go on pending one or getting that before the board votes?
I think we can make it a condition of approval.
Okay.
The only danger there is obviously that Lake Ridge Homeowners Association says no, and then we're not able to move this forward.
Well, would we be better served than having Mr. Amani present that at a future meeting before we took action?
I think that would ensure that a vote on this would carry the day.
Yeah, and Mr. Amani, I'm not trying to make it more difficult for you, but this is common when we deal with homeowners associations, and we do want a letter of either no interest or some restrictions or whatever they may place on it. Thereby, then the town comes in and says, the board says yes or no, independent of what your homeowners association. But we do require that, and before we can take a logical vote, I think we'd have to put the cart before the horse there, right? No, we have to put the horse before the cart. So that's what I think we need to do here. Go ahead, Mr. Mata, you can speak freely.
I just want to put this on record. I'm not running a business out of here.
Okay.
There's no chance of running a business out of here. But I'm using this is for storage and personal space. So there is no business going to be run out of here. As far as the trees go, yes, I do want to put up trees. I do want to make my home look beautiful. But right now, it's winter time. And it's very difficult to plant anything in the winter time.
Nobody's saying.
Well, we would just, no, sir, listen, your neighbor brought that up, and
Yeah,
we would hope you would be a good neighbor and maybe help out there.
I believe I'm a great neighbor. I get along with everybody.
Good.
Very easygoing. Yes, there is plans in the future to do something like that. But of course, money, it's everybody's problem, and and timing, and it will happen. I'm going to do my best to do what I could do.
All right, sir. Well, I'll tell you what, it's already up, so it's not a matter of you're waiting for a build. So what I'm going to ask then upon advice of counsel, and Mr. Clancy, in case you didn't join us, is an attorney. He's an attorney who represents the board. So to keep us away from doing anything wrong. So on counsel's advice, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to seek a letter of no interest or some allowance, whatever it may be, and you're going to have to present that to the township. They, of course, will forward it to the zoning board, and then we could actually take a vote on your matter. So it might be next month, but again, you already have the building up, so now we have to grant the permission.
But I should.
Understood?
I'm sorry. Yes, I do understand. Sir, I just have one thing.
Sure.
When I was doing all this, if this was brought up to me beforehand, this would have been a lot easier for me. And that would have been an extra step that I would have to take, and it would have been no problem to do it. I have no problem doing it now. I'm not refusing. But it would have been better if I would have known about this beforehand. I'm new to all this.
Yeah, I understand. Well, the average person probably wouldn't know, but because the board hears so many of them, I was familiar with the fact that it was Lake Ridge, and I know Lake Ridge is a homeowners association. Perhaps when you went to the building department, they may not have known that. I can't speak for them. So the advice that I can only give you is we have to follow certain rules, and that letter is going to be necessary for if we grant the approval. That necessary is going to. The letter is going to have to be part of the package and part of the resolution.
Mr. Hamadi, I'll also add that it's a pretty common request from homeowners associations. Anytime we have something come before the board that involves an HOA, especially usually it's more substantial stuff, but anytime something that comes through there, we request a letter. So that it should just be a simple request And very infrequently do we generally get stuff back on something minor, as long as doesn't run afoul of the local homeowners association rules and regulations. So.
Yes, sir. It's probably just a form letter that they're gonna type in and sign and send to us. It's not all that uncommon. Mr. Scogno, go ahead.
Mr. Hamadi, you had a shed there before. This is a replacement of what you had there. Is that correct?
No, this is in addition to my shed.
No,
Yes.
your survey shows that you had
Yes.
a shed there.
Yeah. Correct.
So that's gone. Now you built another one.
No.
What was the size of the old one?
I believe is 10 by
As
8.
big as this?
No,
Oh, 10 by 8. A normal shed.
Push the button to raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Mr. Scogno.
And also, you're having electricity run in there?
yes, I do have a permit for that also.
Oh, you have the permit for the electricity?
Correct.
And of
Thank
course, you know, Mr. Amati, that it could not be used for living quarters.
No, I'm not planning on living, unless my wife throws me out, but I'm good.
Okay, well, then you got to go to the car. You got to live in the car. I'm joking, but please, if you would seek that letter, the quicker you get it in, the quicker we can put this right back on the schedule. We've already heard the testimony. I've asked anybody if they had any questions. They don't have any other than what Mr. Scogno has brought forward. So it is going to be a requirement for us to be able to act on.
No problem. I respect your decision. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, sir. Listen, we're here to help the homeowners, not hurt the homeowners. So we just have to do things in law.
Understood.
All right, thank you very much for appearing before the board this evening, sir. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Can we carry this without any kind of additional notice?
I see no reason why we can't, right?
Yeah, I think we might need to put that on the record, and we may need a date. I don't know. if that's
Correct. I
possible.
was going to suggest the next C variance night meeting, which is March 16th.
So Mr. Amati, on March 16th, get that letter quickly, and our next meeting would be on March 16th, and we will hear this matter again. You will not have to further notice. You had to notice the first time around. You will not have to renotice them. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
This is Damien. I remember us jumping into this conversation after the member of the public spoke. Did we actually close the public portion? I may have missed it.
I'll close it now.
Like, I don't know if there was anyone else in the queue.
Was there any on your queue?
The only raised hand was Ms. Ravenna.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I remember that there might have been some more.
Okay, and there is none, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so public portion is closed. All right, Mr. Amati, we'll see you next month then, as soon as you can get that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good night, sir.
Good night.
Board members, we have one other item of business, and that would be the resolution that's 28-2022Z.
Was that the woman who?
Interbell Automotive Corp.
Nobody else is calling in about? this?
Okay, this is
She's
a
gonna-
resolution for, it's resolution number 28-2022Z, approved February 2nd, 2023. It's for D1 use variance and C bulk variance relief and waiver of site plan for the applicant Interbell Automotive Corp. This is for bulk variance relief and waiver of site plan on block 2001, lots 25 and 26 on the tax maps. The public notice was required. We had hearings on this on December 15th and February 2nd, 15th of 2022 and February 2nd of this year, 2023. The application had Dimitri Vazgrin testifying. Peter Klauser, Esquire, was the attorney who handled the application and put the testimony onto the record in approving this, which was for ordinance regarding maximum front yard setbacks. 50 feet was required. It was 50.5 that was proposed. We also had testimony from Allison Coffin, who's a professional planner. provided testimony on positive and negative aspects of this. This is along English Town Road, and there is a unique shape to the lot. There was a hardship that existed upon the findings of the board, and the existing condition with bulk variance was legitimized by way of this relief. So we have a resolution to approve that. The conditions are that it will comply with the recommendation of the township's professionals as set forth in their reports and review memorandums, that the applicant will comply with all representations made on behalf of the applicant before the board during the public hearing, and the applicant shall pay all taxes, fees, and escrow. The applicant shall secure any other approvals, and as a condition of approval, there's a deed restriction against the property with the express condition that there'll be no auto parts or sales taking place on the property. The use is limited to the applicant preparing product to be sold to third parties, either by indirect mail or at other locations. Then there should be a deed restriction and can only be amended by a subsequent application to the board. So, Mr. Chairman, I turn this over to you for a vote.
I had muted myself because the bird was having another meltdown. I'm glad that we made the notice to all those that may be watching on that last resolution, the fact that it is deed restricted and there will not be sales of automobiles on that property. Board members, you've heard the resolution. I'd ask someone would like to move this for adoption, please do so. Does someone want to raise their hand? I'll move it. Is there a second?
Second, Connor.
Second by Connor. Roll call, please, Ms. C.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Stoner, I see is present now. Mr. Stoner,
Yes.
Ms. Chevalier,
I wasn't here for that meeting.
Mr. Scogno,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. Izzo,
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan.
Yes. Board members, that really is the rest of our business this evening. Ms. C, for an open period, is there anybody in queue that wants to talk to the board?
The only raised hand that I see is Ms. Ravenna.
Okay, and I believe she spoke to us on that last matter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else at home? If you want, you can call in. I'll give you a minute or so for final comments on matters.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. What'd you do? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, can you hear me?
Who is this?
Rosemary Ravenna.
Okay, you're already under oath, ma'am. What is it that you want to tell us?
Well, I was just listening to the rest of your meeting, and I believe you just said that I said something about the attorney said something about a car sales on the property. I'm not concerned about cars being sold. I'm concerned about cars cars being repaired on the property.
Ma'am,
And
this is a matter of the Interbell Automotive Corporation is on English Town Road, almost near the English Town Market. That's where we're
No.
talking about.
No.
Oh, that's what you were referring to
Yes.
right now when you just said car sales?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry again.
That's okay.
I misinterpreted. It's my
No, no,
first
no.
Zoom meeting, so I'm new to all this. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was hearing the right things. Thank you
Yes.
again.
That's okay, ma'am. And please watch us, continue to watch us.
I will.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Is there anybody else in queue?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna close the final portion. Mr. Clancy, anything you have for us? And I'll ask Ms. C. Nothing
that does it.
legal end? Thank you.
Shut her now.
Ms. C? Anything?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
And once around, anybody raise your hand if you have anything you want to say tonight?
It's really.
No, okay, it's a short meeting. I know that the next few are not going to be. I look forward to seeing everybody. March 2nd is our next meeting, correct, Ms. C?
Correct. In
Okay.
person.
And I think we have a fairly big agenda, correct?
Correct.
All right, please be there next couple of weeks, March 2nd. Mr. Clancy, thank you for being counsel tonight. I wish everybody a healthy, happy weekend. We'll see you March 2nd. Good night.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Good night.
Night.